Hi everyone, good evening and welcome to Thorough Newspaper Analysis. This is a combined video for the 19th and the 20th of June 2024. Now let's quickly proceed and have a look at the pointers of discussion for the day. So first of all, in the editorial segment, we'll be talking about an Indian Express article which carries the title, Why Punjab and Haryana High Court recommended a limit of one SIM card per person, what the law says in this behalf. So here, essentially, before the lower judiciary, there was a case of online fraud wherein the accused person got around 32 SIM cards issued in his name. So therefore, the entire debate on how could a person get 32 SIM cards issued in respect to the same person. So that this entire debate, it stemmed from this entire case, and we'll understand what the Punjab and Haryana High Court has now said in this respect. Secondly, we talk about the news updates. And this is going to be followed by the last segment of legal news. So without further ado, let's start. So let's first have a look at the title of this article. So why Punjab and Haryana High Court recommended a limit of one SIM card per person, what the law says on this behalf. Let's have an understanding of the context of it. It urged the center to intensify the efforts that the government or at the center is trying to put forth to curb the issuance of multiple prepaid SIM cards to individuals and the increasing number of cases of online fraud. Recently, a court in Haryana denied bail to a man who was involved in an online scam who had obtained 35 SIM cards. Now let's see what is this case against this particular person who had gotten 35 SIM cards issued. So the name of this particular case is Sumit Nandwani versus State of Haryana. Here the court was dealing with an interim bail application from Sumit, who is currently lodged in Hisar Central Jail. The case against Sumit, it dates back to last year when a man received a WhatsApp message wherein he was offered opportunities to earn money from home. Now, initially, in order to, sort of garner the trust of this person, the scammer sent a certain amount to, make sure that the victim could be assured of the fact that this was a legit job offer. But eventually, he ended up defrauding that person of rupees 8 lakhs. Now, during their investigation, the Haryana police uncovered several bank accounts and mobile numbers linked to the case involving Sumit. They determined that Sumit played a role as the point of sale agent, and his job included activating SIM cards that were later used in the scam. These SIM cards, they were registered under the names of various individuals, after which Sumit provided them to his co-accused who were involved in the fraudulent activities. Now, Sumit reportedly obtained the pre-SIM cards by registering them under his Aadhaar card. Now, this led the court to question why there aren't government rules limiting individuals to just one prepaid SIM card. In its interim order, the court mentioned the widespread danger of cybersecurity and cyber crimes, which has made Indians more cautious. Now, it was pointed out by the court that numerous scams have been carried out using these mobile numbers, and the court said in this respect, and I would like to quote it out, following the exploitation of a certain number of victims, perpetrators routinely discard or deactivate their SIM cards, acquiring new ones to perpetuate their nefarious deeds. Disturbingly, reports suggest that these actors obtain prepaid SIM cards under not only their own identities, but also those of unwitting individuals, often through deceitful means. The court also questioned the Ministry of Telecommunication why it permitted individuals, businesses, or organizations to obtain multiple prepaid SIM cards in their names. In this respect, the court further said, and I would like to quote it out, given the Aadhaar card is exclusively linked to a single SIM card for OTP generation, there seems to be no justification for the issuance of multiple prepaid SIM cards. Restricting prepaid SIM cards to one per individual or per person, it could significantly mitigate cybercrimes, the order said. Now let's understand what does the law say on how many SIM cards a person can own. So courts and the government previously limited the sale of SIM cards without confirming identities. In 2005, there was a case by the name of State NCT of Delhi versus Navjot Sandhu alias Afsan Guru. Here, the Supreme Court addressed the issues stemming from the 2001 Parliament attacks. Now, the terrorists, they use mobile phones with unverified SIM cards to make numerous cell phone calls as part of their operations. Now, the Department of Telecommunications banned the sale of pre-activated SIM cards through notifications issued in 2006 and 2009. Unlike prepaid SIM cards, which require ID proof and forms, pre-activated SIM cards, they could be activated immediately upon insertion into phones without any such verification. However, a petitioner approached the court in 2012 saying that around 80% of the prepaid SIM cards, they could still be purchased in pre-activated form. He also sought directions to be issued by the government for framing guidelines for telecom firms which are issuing SIM cards. Then we have another case of 2012, where in the case of Abhishek Goenka versus the Union of India, the Supreme Court directed the formation or the constitution of a joint expert committee to provide a response to the government. Almost 4 months later, the Telecom Ministry issued a circular wherein it was categorically stated that an individual can subscribe to a maximum of 9 mobile connections under their name across all telecom service providers and licensed service areas, including the local, outstation, and foreign categories. So for people in Jammu and Kashmir, Assam, and the Northeast, LSAs, which is the licensed service areas, the limit was set at 6 connections. It also mandated that individuals declare existing connections when filing out the customer application forms. So while they're filling out the customer application forms, then you have to disclose the number of existing connections that you have. Now let's talk about what are the issues in linking ID cards with mobile phones. So notwithstanding linking ID cards may seem like a secure option, connecting ID cards to cell phones as a security measure, it raises privacy and compliance concerns. So referring to the Supreme Court's landmark judgment, which is often called the privacy judgment of 2018, which is in the case of case Puttaswamy versus Union of India, which upheld the fundamental right to privacy, the counsel, Advocate Apar Gupta, also pointed out that linking Aadhaar with SIM cards, it is not mandatory. Aadhaar is only one of the identity documents an individual can provide. One of the lawyers stated that Section 3, subsection 7 of the Telecommunications Act of 2003, it states that the entity which is issuing SIM cards, it must identify the person to whom the service is being provided through the use of any verifiable biometric-based identification. Since Aadhaar is the sole biometric identification method in India, therefore it implies that Aadhaar is now required for accessing all telecom services, including buying a SIM card. Now with this, we proceed to the national news category, and this is the first update here. This is with respect to the new curriculum and new norms introduced by the UGC. So let's understand this update. The University Grants Commission, also called the UGC for India, it has introduced an innovative curriculum and credit framework for postgraduate programs, which is aligned with the National Education Policy 2020. This framework, it supports online, offline, and hybrid learning modes, enabling credit transfer via the academic bank of credits. The UG students, they can now pursue a PG field which is aligned with their major or minor, or can switch disciplines based on the exam results. The higher education institutions, they can now offer flexible PG programs which range from 1 year to 5 year integrated courses, and this is to meet the diverse student needs and to cater to emerging fields in employment, be it the progress that artificial intelligence has made, or be it machine learning. Furthermore, if students exit the 2-year program after the first year, then they will receive a postgraduate diploma. Under the new framework, students can earn up to 2 years worth of credits for relevant work experience as well. Moving on to the next update. India is world's second largest emitter of nitrous oxide. India is world's second largest source of nitrous oxide, which is a greenhouse gas that heats up the atmosphere of Earth far more than that is done by carbon dioxide. So nearly 11% of such global man-made emissions in 2020, they were solely from India, and India is topped only by China, which is currently standing at 16%. The Vice President of India inaugurates Prerna Sthal in Parliament Complex. Jagdeep Dhankar, the Vice President of India and also the ex-officio chairman of Rajya Sabha, is inaugurated the Prerna Sthal in the Parliament Complex. This area now houses statues of national icons and freedom fighters that were previously located in various parts of the premises. The Congress claimed the main aim was to relocate the statues of Mahatma Gandhi and B.R. Ambedkar. So this is just a political statement. We need not be concerned with that. What we have to understand for our purpose is just the inauguration of the Prerna Sthal in the Parliament complex. India to host its first multinational air exercise, which is called Tarang Shakti. The Indian Air Force will be hosting international contingents for the Tarang Shakti exercise 2024. This exercise, it will take place in two parts. The first in southern India during the first 2 weeks of the month of August, and the second in the western region from late August to mid-September. Indian Railway entered its name into Limca Book of Records. The Indian Railways, it has entered Limca Book of Records for organizing a public service event with the highest attendance at multiple venues. The event was organized for the inauguration of road over or road under railway bridges and for laying the foundation stones for railway stations by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Now, this is an important update. Sahiya Academy, it announces Yuva Puraskar, Bal Sahiya Puraskar winners for the year 2020. Bal Sahiya Puraskar winners for the year 2024. So Sahiya Academy, it has announced the winners of Yuva Puraskar, thereby recognizing young authors, and Bal Sahiya Puraskar, which celebrates children's literature for the year 2024. Now, among the 23 recipients of the Yuva Puraskar, these are K. Vaishali, an English writer. Then we have Gaurav Pandey, a Hindi author. They were recognized across different languages. Shruti BR received the Yuva Puraskar for Kannada for her poetry, which is a poetry collection called Zero Balance. The award for 2024, it includes 10 for poetry books, 7 for short story collections, 2 for articles and essay collections, 1 for a novel, and 1 for ghazals, and 1 for a memoir. Now, for the Bal Sahiya Puraskar, Sahiya Academy selected 24 winners, and this included Krishnamurthy Biligre for his Kannada short story. Nandini Sengupta received the Bal Sahiya Puraskar for her historical fiction, which is called The Blue Horse and Other Amazing Animal Stories from Indian History in English. And apart from that, Devendra Kumar was recognized for his collection of children's stories titled, which is called the 51 Bal Kahani. Both the Yuva Puraskar and the Bal Sahiya Puraskar awardees, they will receive a casket containing an engraved copper plaque and a check of rupees 50,000 at an award ceremony, which is scheduled for later. Tesam Pongte, new Speaker of Arunachal Pradesh. He's an MLA for the Changlang North. He has been elected unopposed as the Speaker of the 8th Arunachal Pradesh Legislative Assembly. The Reserve Bank of India imposes 1.45 crore fine on Central Bank of India, 96.4 lakh fine on Bangladesh's Sonali Bank. The Central Bank of India, it was fined with rupees 1.45 crore because it sanctioned a working capital loan for a corporation which is based on expected government subsidies. The Reserve Bank of India stated that a penalty of rupees 96.4 lakh, it had been imposed on Sonali Bank PLC for non-compliance with certain norms, including the KYC Directions 2016. Sonali Bank PLC's Indian wing, it is part of the Commercial Bank of Bangladesh. The Ministry of External Affairs and SBI sign an MOU to enhance digital payments for migrant workers via the e-migrate portal. So the Ministry of External Affairs and the State Bank of India, they've signed a memorandum of understanding together. So what is the purpose of it? It aims to offer Indian migrant workers a digital payment service for migration-related fees, eliminating transaction charges for enhanced affordability and accessibility to wider, base of people who come from different economic stratas. Indian Army launches first of its kind skin bank for treatment of severe burn injuries. Army's Research and Referral Hospital in New Delhi, it has opened a state-of-the-art skin bank facility, which is the first of its kind to be established within the Armed Forces Medical Services. The new skin bank, it will collect, process, store, and distribute skin grafts centrally. It will support military medical centers nationwide with essential resources for treating several severe skin-related injuries. Arjun Erigaisi, he wins the Stepan Avagyan Memorial 2024. India's top chess player, Grandmaster Arjun Erigaisi, he clinched victory at the Stepan Avagyan Memorial 2024, and this happened in Armenia, one round ahead of the schedule. Neeraj Chopra strikes gold at Pau Nurmi Games 2024. Neeraj Chopra, the pride of India, he's won a gold medal with his best throw of 85.97 meters in the men's javelin throw competition at the Pavo Nurmi Games 2024 athletics meet, which happened in Finland. India has been ranked 63rd on the Global Energy Transmission Index, which was released by the World Economic Forum. Sweden led the index with Denmark, Finland, Switzerland, and France following closely. China was ranked at the 20th among nations which were assessed. Moving on to the next update. Now with this, we proceed to the international segment for the news updates. So let's see what is the international news arena has for us today. Flagging need for Russia to be in, India opts out of Ukraine declaration. India has abstained from signing the joint communique on peace in Ukraine during a summit. The decision came as Russia chose not to attend the summit, dismissing it as a waste of time. Secretary West, Ministry of External Affairs and Indian Ambassador to Russia, he said that India's participation, it aimed to explore pathways towards a negotiated settlement for the complex and pressing issue which is, unfolding in Ukraine. The Indian position of not becoming a signatory to the joint communique, it was explained by the ambassador, Indian ambassador, where he said that we are attending the summit and staying engaged with all involved to understand different viewpoints and find a solution to the conflict that lasts. He said that we believe that only options agreed upon by both sides, that being Russia and Ukraine, can bring lasting peace. Therefore, we won't be part of the joint statement or any other documents from the summit. Estonia's Sahil Chauhan scores fastest century in T20 internationals. Estonia batter Sahil Chauhan, he smashed the quickest T20 century in 27 balls, and he struck most number of sixes, which is 18, in the format in an international game against the host Cyprus. Jason Tatum, he leads Boston Celtics to clinch record-breaking 18th NBA title. Boston Celtics, which is led by Jason Tatum, it beat Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals to win the record 18th title. Ukraine Peace Summit ends. The two-day summit on peace in Ukraine and Switzerland, it has ended with participants hoping for an end to the war between Moscow, Russia, and Ukraine. 80 countries and 4 organizations out of the 100 attending delegations endorsed the final statement from Path to Peace Summit, which aimed to find solutions to stop the ongoing conflict, which began back in February of 2022. India was a notable voice among those who did not sign this document. So, this news we've already covered. Chinese satellite discovers new solar atmospheric rotation pattern. The Chinese H Alpha Solar Explorer satellite, it has successfully created the first detailed 3D map of the solar atmospheric rotation. This breakthrough research, it has been published in the prestigious journal which is called the Nature Astronomy. DRDO Indian firm showcase Made in India weapons tech at Paris Defense Show. The Indian defense sector firms from both public and private sectors, they are participating in the Eurosatory 2024 Defense Show in France, in Paris, France. The exhibition, it is showcasing India's products like the Pinaka multi-barrel rocket launcher system and the LCA Tejas fighter aircraft. The DRDO, it is displaying its airborne early warning and control system, LCA Tejas fighter jets, Astra missiles for beyond visual range, and the effective Akash air defense system. India and US strengthen strategic partnership in critical and emerging technologies. So India and United States of America, they're strengthening their strategic partnership in critical and emerging technologies, highlighted by their second meeting on the India-US Initiative on Critical and Emerging Technologies. The participation, it is seen as crucial for the future security and prosperity of the Indo-Pacific region as per the joint statement which was issued by the Ministry of External Affairs. Now, this has brought us to the legal segment for the day, and the first update here comes from the High Court of Punjab and Haryana. So the Punjab and Haryana High Court has dismissed a plea which sought directions to the complainant to compound the offences which is committed under the Negotiable Instruments Act. The court noted that the dispute between the parties, it is of over 1.73 crores, which was outstanding, that is to say unpaid, as on March 3, 2016. The Supreme Court, this particular verdict, it came about in the case which is titled as Surinder Kumar Bindal and Nather versus Satyendra Nath Radhe Shyam and Sons. Now, the next update is from Honorable Supreme Court. This is with respect to Maharashtra Stamp Act. So the Supreme Court here has said that refund of stamp duty, it can't be denied on ground that application was made before execution of cancellation deed. So in a recent decision concerning the refund of the stamp duty under the Maharashtra Stamp Act of 1958, the Supreme Court has held that the refund of stamp duty which was paid towards the unexecuted conveyance, it could not be denied on mere technicality that the application seeking refund of the stamp duty was preferred before the execution of the cancellation deed. Now, here the Stamp Authority argued in this case that the application for a refund of stamp duty was filed after the limitation period had lapsed. So they contended that refunds, they are effective from cancellation date of conveyance deed, and since the cancellation deed was executed after the refund had elapsed, so therefore the application for a refund, it was not maintainable. The High Court judgment found the refund claim not maintainable, which subsequently was misplaced. So now in this respect, the Supreme Court made these observations that we just discussed. Next up is an update from Calcutta High Court. So in a landmark judgment and development, the Calcutta High Court has directed the West Bengal government to ensure 1% reservation for all transgender persons in public employment in the state. And this is according to Supreme Court's 2014 guideline in the case of Nalsa. So the court was adjudicating a case where a transgender person passed the teacher's eligibility tests in 2014 and in 2022, but was not invited for interviews and counseling. Justice Mantha mentioned a Supreme Court ruling in the case of Nalsa versus Union of India. This ruling established reservation for transgender person to protect their rights under the Constitution. It was observed that in NALSA judgment, the court had directed the state and the union governments to treat transgender persons as socially and educationally backward class and extended all kinds of benefits to them, including reservation in public employment, which we find place in Article 16 of the Indian Constitution. The court also mentioned that although the state had created its own policy for reservations for transgender people, it did not comply with the Supreme Court's order. And therefore, the High Court directed the government to ensure that there is 1% reservation for all transgender persons in matters of public employment in the state. The name of this case is Mrunal Barik versus the state of West Bengal and others. And lastly, we have an update from the High Court of Sikkim. So the Sikkim High Court has observed that it can exercise its powers of revision under Section 397 of the CRPC when the trial court has wrongly sentenced the accused below the minimum prescribed sentence for an offense. So here the court held that the neglect of the... So let's first understand what is the case, and then perhaps we'll be able to understand this observation better. So in the present case, the trial court had sentenced the accused, who's now here before the High Court and appellant, convicted for gang rape, 12 years of imprisonment for gang rape under Section 376D of the IPC, which subsequently was found to be erroneous by the High Court. Why? Because Section 376D IPC provides that the punishment for the offense shall not be less than 20 years. So when the statute itself provides a minimum punishment of 20 years, then inflicting of 12 years, it was found to be erroneous by the High Court. The court cited the Supreme Court case in the case of Mohammed Hasim versus State of UP and others, which stated that the courts do not have any discretion to lower a sentence if there is a minimum sentence which is mandated by law. This is a very, very important update. Now, if you have a look at, special statutes, let's say POCSO, there you'll find that at certain, instances, let's say for aggravated penetrative sexual assault, there is a minimum sentence of 20 years, which is prescribed, which can go up to, let's say, life imprisonment or even death. So whenever there is a minimum sentence which is prescribed, then the courts do not have any discretion to go in awarding the sentence. The discretion cannot be exercised to lower the sentence from the quantum which is minimum specified by the statute itself. So the court held that the neglect of the state or the respondent in not appealing the incorrect sentencing order does not prevent it from expressing its revision powers under Section 397 of the CRPC when read with Section 401 of CRPC, which provides opportunity to the accused of being heard in case of enhancement of sentence. And with this, we've come to an end of our TNA. Thank you so much for being with us. Have a wonderful day ahead.